Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So, it's been far too long since I've played a 60 card That Grass Looks Greener deck, and I wanted to remedy this both for the channel and also for my own sake, because you all know me rather. I love my pile decks. I love my grass decks. Gotta have both. So I wanted to kind of model this particular iteration a little bit more after the everything pile I built a few seasons ago, but when I actually fleshed the deck out, it kind of ended up becoming that Punk Tearlament deck we did last week, except a 60 card version. So I guess this ends up being the expanded version as a result. This deck was really interesting to play. Oh, and actually the other thing about playing this deck that I still need to mention is these games that we're about to see were all from a recent viewer duel stream. So for those who don't know, I do fairly regularly do viewer duels, usually on Sundays on the Sunday Chillin' streams, but if you are interested in dueling with me or hanging out on stream or both, feel free to go ahead and check out the description. You will find a link to my Twitch page below, and you can follow or subscribe to Twitch to get notifications of when I go live. I also pin and post my schedule, my stream schedule, to my Twitter page, also linked in the description below. So if you're interested, I highly recommend checking those out. We have a lot of fun, and yeah, that's where we played this deck, was in the viewer duel. So yeah, like I said, I was really just jonesing for another 60 card deck. I think what would have made this more of a quote-unquote everything pile is if I included like a Thunder Dragon engine, which I initially did want to do, but ultimately I found I just didn't have quite enough space with some of the other things I wanted to include, which included the small Kashtira package we have here at Fenrir, Tier Cash, and Wraitsoth, as well as the, what was the other thing I added? Oh, the Thrust as well. I actually wanted to play 3 Thrust because obviously being able to search grass when going second is exceptionally good, and we have a couple of normal traps we can grab as well, but I was really just trying to trim things down. I think ultimately what I should have cut, if I want to make room for Thunder Dragons, is probably Super Polys, and then the targets here, and we can play Colossus and any other number of extra deck cards, because Lord knows this deck is very tight on extra deck space, but yeah. Oh, one of the other things I want to talk about as far as like the main deck goes, and this is something I've been thinking for quite a while, but these games this last Sunday just solidified for this for me, rather. I don't know about you all, I'm never playing PSY Framegear Gamma in a deck ever again. Fuck this card. I've never had a supposedly good card be so dead so much more often, not just in this deck, but in any deck in general, than fucking PSY Framegear Gamma. I just had to say it, I had to get this out. I have gotten to the point where I actually just despise this card. I understand that in theory, this is one of those decks, and there are a lot of decks where Gamma can be pretty good, like Dragon Link, like Labyrinth, these decks, and like this deck too, these decks that can often make a lot of plays without committing to the board, but like, I would love to know how often people who regularly play this card actually resolve it, because, to be fair, I'm not the most regular PSY Framegear Gamma user, but I swear to God, every time I've tried to play this stupid-ass card, I just either draw the driver, which is like kind of a meme at this point, but more often than that, I'll draw the Gamma, but like, when I'm going first, or when I top deck it and I really need to rip something live, or like, you know what I mean? And this really, in theory, should be like one of the best decks for Gamma, right? It's a 60 card pile, we're a tier deck, we're doing a lot of milling, so we do a lot of things without having to commit to the board, and we also even play E-tallies, so we can even ideally or potentially use this as like a level 2 tuner. But no, this card has just been nothing but dead for me, and you can probably hear my voice how like upset I am with Gamma right now. Yeah, like I said, fuck this card. I'm never putting Gamma in another deck again. I think this card is absolutely just trash. Okay, that's me being hyperbolic. I have to point that out because Yu-Gi-Oh players are really bad about this. I actually do not think that Gamma is a bad card. I know that it's a good card. I just don't have good personal experiences with it, so I'm calling it trash. Just, again, Yu-Gi-Oh players have a really hard time differentiating statements like that, so I wanted to point that out. But anyway, I'll get off my anti-Gamma soapbox here now and talk a little bit more about the build itself. Like I said, it really is just an expanded version of the 40-card Punk tier build we were playing earlier. Yeah, I mean, everything that we added is pretty much just extension that's already fueling the strategy we're already playing, so to speak here. And yeah, I mean, like I said, if this was going to be a true everything pile, I think maybe I would have put in like Thunder Dragons. But the other thing too that I want to point out about that is that like, it's not just as simple as adding the Thunder Dragons and then hoping we mill them. I mean, that's a viable enough strategy, I guess. But I'd also want to include some other stuff to help boost the consistency of cards like that. Like Allures, maybe a Gold Sark, you know, so whenever you're adding an engine, it's always about more than just the monsters itself of that engine, or even just the core cards of that engine. You also got to think of other things you can play to help complement that engine, help it fit into your deck better, so on and so forth. Tuning is another card that I really wanted to fit in here, to be able to find Assault Synchron more consistently, just be able to spit out the Baron, honestly. Oh, and as far as the extra deck goes, there's so many different things you can play in the extra deck. Like, I have stuff like Dawn Dragster and Beatrice that would like come up once and be pretty good when they did come up, but you definitely do not need to play them at all. If you're going to be playing a deck like this, like with Tearlaments and Synchros, then you really just mainly need, you know, the Tearlament monsters. You don't even need like the Dawn Dragster, as long as you have Chaos Ruler and Baron. Honestly, even Pep didn't come up at all, which, you know, I still think you should play this because we have the level 3 tuners, and it's pretty easy for us to have like level 8 non-tuners as well. But even Pep, like I said, didn't really come up in the like 20 or so games we played. We have the Zeus here as well as a few different Xyz options. The Redoer obviously is meant for, you know, fusing with Scheiren on the opponent's turn. And then we have Beatrice and Zombie Vamp to also help us with more mill strategies here as well. I think that covers pretty much everything I have to say about this list. I mean, there's, like I said, there's any number of engines or cards you could cut out or put in to add more gas, add more disruption, whatever you think you need. So let's go ahead and break this list down card by card, and then we'll look at some of those games from the viewer duel stream last Sunday. So we're on 1 PSY Frame Driver, 3 Maxx, 2 PSY Framegear Gamma, but not for long, 3 Assault Synchron, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and of course the Driver we won't be on for long either, because I know I'm going to get a comment about that if I don't say it, but anyway. Noh P.U.N.K, Amin, we got 3 of those. Tearlaments Havnis at 1. We have 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 2 Tearlaments Scheiren, 3 Tearlaments Reinoheart, 1 Noh P.U.N.K Deer Note, 1 Bystial Magnamhut, 2 Bystial Saronir, 1 Bystial Druiswarm, 1 Bystial Baldrake, 1 Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Fission, 2 Kashtira Fenrir, 1 Tearlaments Kashtira, 2 Noh P.U.N.K Foxy Tune, 2 the Bystial Lubellion, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 That Grass Looks Greener, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Triple Tactics Thrust, 1 Primeval Planet Perlerino, 1 Pressured Planet Wraitsoth, 1 Branded Regained, 2 Tearlaments Scream, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Emergency Teleport, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 1 Tearlaments Heartbeat, 1 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Tearlaments Metanoise, 1 Tearlaments Sulliek, and then 1 Branded Beast. So that is our 60-card main deck. Okay, for the extra deck, we're on 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Tearlaments Kikalos, 1 Garura, Wings of Restored Life, 1 Tearlaments Rolkalos, 1 Tearlaments Kaleidoheart, 1 F.A. Dawn Dragster, 1 Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Psychic End Punisher, 1 Time Thief Redoer, 1 Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, 1 the Zombie Vampire, 1 Divine Arsenal Zeus, Sky Thunder, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, and then finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. It's going to go ahead and do it for our list. Let's see some games. Okay, our first duel is going to come to us from I Love Ghosts, who is on Branded Despia. Now, it'll be a little bit different than normal. We'll actually, because these will be dual room games, we'll actually be able to see the other player's hand here. As you can see, we're taking the first turn. We didn't open any disruption except for the Magnamhut here. Ghost hand is phenomenal. Oh my god, Ghost opened like a great hand here. We're going to start with Foolish, sending the Tragedy to normal summon the Alibur, adding the Branded Lost, because of course we already have the Branded Fusion. Lost will activate, Fusion will follow, sending Albaz and Lubellion. Makes sense given Ghost's hand here. Going for the Albion, we're going to go ahead and activate both Albion as well as the Branded Lost, of course. And Branded Lost will be adding the Tri-Brigade Mercurier, while Albion will end up fusing the Alibur with the Albaz in order to summon the Lubellion here. I remember during this duel, I was like, oh wow, I was a little surprised that Ghost discarded the Mercurier with the Lubellion, but looking at the other 3 cards in Ghost's hand, it's actually no surprise at all, honestly. Okay, Albion is going to get sacked off for Lubellion. We're setting call by. So here, as the main phase was ending, I went to go use the Magnamhut effect on the Albion. The reason I did it during the end of the main phase was because Albion's effect activates during the end phase, if it's in the graveyard, right? So the way that turns work is that whoever's turn it is has the first chance to activate an effect. This is often referred to as player priority. If I had allowed the turn to move to the end phase, Ghost would have had player priority to use Albion's effect, at which point it's too late for me to use the Magnamhut. So I got a Magnamhut here during the end of the main phase. This will, of course, end up playing into Ghost Triple Tactics talent, but of course there was no way during the actual game itself that I could have known they had that in hand. Thankfully, Ghost did elect to look at my hand, but thankfully my hand was actually kind of cracked, honestly. I just drew this Lubellion off the Maxx, I believe, right? Yes. Or no, I just added off the Magnum. I'm not sure. I didn't play Maxx, but they have Maxx. Anyway. But yeah, with the rest of the cards in my hand being like Reinoheart, E-Telly, Heartbeat, like, there really wasn't a super good take for triple attack here, which is good for me. It was mainly having both Reinoheart and E-Telly. Having both of those starters there. So, Ghost will fire off Maxx during the draw phase. I'm just going to chain the E-Telly here to get one less draw, although I don't know, at this point in the duel I was a bit on the fence if I actually wanted to play into this Maxx or not, right? So I decided to go ahead and use the Lubellion. We'll give one draw. I wanted to do this to get access to the Branded Regained. Alright, Callby is going to activate here on the Havnis effect. And at this point, I was pretty convinced I wasn't going to be playing into this Maxx at all. That is until Branded Regained activating as a result of the Callby. And then I drew Assault Synchron. And I'm telling you, this one Assault Synchron completely changed my mind about this game state. I was like, you know what? I can play into this Maxx. I can play into this, because now I know I can go for a Chaos Ruler. And that should be enough for me to be able to find lethal here. Also, what is this? Fusion Duplication? Target a Fusion or Polymerization will quickly spell another player's graveyard, banish the spell, then apply that spell's effect when this card is activated. That's interesting. That's an interesting tech there. I didn't know that card is... I've seen this art before, but I didn't know that's what this card did. It's kind of neat. What do I find here? Foxy Tune, sending the rest. The Reinoheart gets to proc, summoning itself by pitching the Heartbeat. Of course, I already used Reinoheart's effect, so it won't actually, mill anything from the deck, but... Alright, gonna overlay my 8s to go into the Zombie Vamp. Zombie Vamp is gonna mill 4 from each of us. I thought about taking their Albaz, but I ultimately decided to take my Saronir here. Mercurier is activating to negate the Chaos Ruler, so it won't be able to bring itself back. That's going to keep me from having lethal on board at this second, but I actually have another idea here. Going back to that Albaz that's in Ghost's graveyard, I'm going to end up using Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy to go ahead and grab that from Ghost over there. So I'll summon Albaz, and because I do actually have a target, I get to use Albaz's effect, pitching the Metanoise, fusing it with the Mirror Jade in order to go ahead and summon our Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Which this should be, I believe, 8250 damage altogether. Barely enough to sneak in for lethal. Oh, I want to talk to you about playing into Maxx against Branded Despia specifically. Granted, to be fair, I'm generally speaking more likely to play into a Maxx if it's turn 2, or just in general if I have the ability to attack for lethal, right? But Branded Despia, I'm also a little bit more comfortable playing into Maxx because I know the deck is almost never on Nibiru. They don't even always play Ash Blossom, so that was even guaranteed to stop me. So I know there's like much fewer things that Branded Despia can draw off of Maxx as opposed to some other decks. But yeah, it was a good game. Of course, all these were great games, of course. GG's Ghost. Let's go ahead and see the next duel here. Alright, our next game comes to us from Toadette. Toadette, a very active viewer of the channel, always in the comments and on the Discord, on the streams. Toad is going to be playing Therion Punk. We're going to be taking the first turn this time around, and our hand was unfortunately not that great. I just had to set 2 and pass here. I will say this, we did open a few hands while testing that looked like this. So I think I might actually want to end up adding more gas to the deck. just to try it out, just to see if the ratios end up working a little bit better. Plus, any excuse to get Vs out of my deck, but love that new Super Poly animation as well. Yeah, we can Super Poly here for the Garura while the Fenrir and the Amin are in play, so they do get some of the other Fenrir, and banish my Garura before battling for direct damage, but at the very least, you know, I don't have to worry about getting comboed off on. So I'm going to Scream and Reinoheart here. Looks like Toad's got the Ash Blossom. Oh, also. I did Maxx during the draw phase. This is a situation where, like, I arguably should have because of Fenrir. But also, because I had the Super Poly and I was able to utilize it there against the Zamin and the Fenrir, and also because Toad happened to have both Callby and Ash Blossom, it actually ends up being correct that I didn't use Maxx here. But I've also been just experimenting with not always shotgunning Maxx during the draw phase. I usually do that for exactly Kashtira Fenrir to be able to get the draw for that, but I don't know. Maybe it's not right. Who knows? Anyway, Callby is going to end up eating the Scheiren here, so the Scream and Reinoheart mills both did not end up panning out. I'm going to have to move straight to my end phase, but I was going to say it looks like Toad isn't on too much, but she did actually just draw the Zamin, which is a little bit of a yikes. A wee bit of a yikes. The Fenrir banishing the Scream was also a good call too, because you can just battle over Reinoheart, and then by banishing Scream, you end up forcing me to have fewer top decks here. So no comboing because they didn't want to play into the Maxx here. I'm going to end up using Lubellion for Magnamhut, activating the Magnamhut effect. I thought about not doing this. I thought about actually not activating the Magnamhut to play around the Fenrir and just battle over it, but I was like, you know, I can just bring the Beast and pop the Fenrir that way, so now we don't have to deal with it on future turns, and now I can just go ahead and add the Druiswarm. But even with Druiswarm and Branded Beast, things are already, like, not looking super great here, because we know that Toad has the Ogre Dance, yeah, exactly, from last turn, and obviously they get another Zamin Search here, so alright, and here, the other thing too is, like, it's kind of awkward because I have to wait for a special summon to monster to get good timing off the Druiswarm here. So I'm going to wait for the Deer Note to come down and then pop the field spell, I think ultimately is what I pop here. Yeah. Alright, Toad does get to draw another card, but at this point I was kind of thinking, you know, he's got to have exactly Fortune Tune, right? Fortune Tune into Zeus is what I thought until the Disc Coliseum came down. Also, that's not even true to begin with because the Deer Note can always bring back the Foxy Tune. I always think that the Deer Note only brings stuff back if it's used as like a synchro material, but no, it's if it goes from the field to the graveyard for any reason. So, all right, yeah, we're going for the Amazing Dragon and then also the Pep as well. Although Pep would have just done it too by itself, but it's all good. So yeah, that was a very nice back and forth, and definitely wanted to show that game off as a result. Thank you very much, Toad, for I'm talking like I'm actually on the stream now. I seriously was doing that just now. I was about to thank Toad in chat. Of course, this is not the stream, so Toad is not in chat, but I'm still going to thank Toad as well. Thank you for stopping by. It was a GG. Let's go and see the next duel here. Alright, this next game is going to be against Rekka, who was on Dricker Slayers, I believe, the Pendulum deck, yes. Alright, so we're going to be taking the first turn, and yet again, we open another one of these kind of hands, where we just did not open really anything. Well, we had Assault Synchron and Scream, but I don't know. Opening 3 of our 4 trap cards in a 60-card deck, I will say, is, like, very unlucky, but it's all good. Alright, so Rekka's doing some Draco Slayer stuff. I don't know. I really don't know that much about this deck, to be totally honest, so I can't really comment on the line that's being gone for here, I guess, so to speak, but I will imperm this beyond the Pendulum. Because I know this will force Rekka to have, like, another response or another extender in hand, which they do. They have a Sky Iris, so... Sky Iris popping the Beyond the Pendulum, Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon activating to add the Chaos Emperor. Chaos Emperor will go in the other Pendulum Zone, so we do get to Pendulum Summon here. For the Luster Pendulum. Oh, that's right. I was like, only the Luster Pendulum, really? But it's like, oh wait, that's how Pendulum monsters work. That's right. So here we do have a Scheiren, not a Scheiren, a Havnis, and I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna activate Scream, normal summon Havnis. Rekka's got a Maxx, but let's see if we end up having plays here. Yeah, we didn't even mill anything, so it's totally fine. We'll just battle over the Luster Pendulum with the Havnis. I'll set the Metanoise, and then pass. The Metanoise being interesting because it will actually potentially be a live play here. Alright, Majesty Pegasus is going to add the... I totally missed which one that is. I can actually look at it here. Ignis Phoenix, that one. We do get to proc the Scream, though, when our opponent summons, when Rekka summons here, which does actually end up milling a Scheiren, so we're actually kind of in this again. Kiklos is going to mill the Havnis. I'll proc the Havnis F and make the Rolkalos here, which will not stop a Pendulum Summon, because that's not an effect, but... Alright, looks like they do end up sending the Metanoise here. Off the Chaos, what is it? Chaos Emperor Pendulum. Alright, Luster Pendulum adding the Ignis Phoenix. Ignis Phoenix going to activate some of the Majesty Pegasus, which is fine. But yeah, this fusion I'm going to go ahead and take out because I was like, you know, I think the odds of them having another extender in hand are like kind of low at this point. And then we also get to use the Scream to add Sulliek here. They did end up having the... Well, we knew they had the Odd Eyes Revolution. Well, we should have anyway because they added it, but they've already Pendulum Summoned too, haven't they, I think? Well, in any case, there's not going to end up being too much of a follow-up from Rekka here. We're going to use Reinoheart to send Havnis and once again fuse for Z-Kiklos here. Although, I don't know, I should have maybe... What exactly did I top deck there? It was another Reinoheart, okay. So yeah, this might look a little weird, but I am actually going to go ahead and use the Rolkalos as part of a Synchro material for the Baron here. Alright, moving to battle phase, now we get to battle over the Draco Slayer. I'll negate the effect with the Baron. That does actually proc the Gamma here, though, which was very surprising to me. I was pretty convinced the last card in hand was going to be dead, which to be fair, it kind of was up till this point. Oh, Gamma. Screwing me over in more way than one. But, no. I mean, it is, but whatever. Here I actually get to use the Kiklos to bring back the Rolkalos, which is neat. I also have these Sulliek set up. So between Rolkalos and Sulliek, I'm pretty confident we're just going to have this. And sure enough, it ends up being the Lone Skull Cravat Joker that's top decked here, which doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Yeah, I'm just going to move to battle phase and pretty much just end up swinging for lethal here. But GG's, Rekka. That was a very good back and forth. Especially because, like, Pendulum decks, I don't know as much about them as I do a lot of other archetypes. So, like, Pendulum's one of those archetypes where as they're making plays, like, as Rekka was making plays here, I was just kind of thinking, like, do I have enough? Like, am I going to lose here? So, alright, that was a very good duel there. Let's go ahead and see one more to finish off the video here. Okay, our last opponent is going to be 8bots, who also goes by Hexbots on the Discord and maybe Twitch too? I'm trying to remember. Off the top of my head, I don't recall, but we're in for a very, very good back and forth here. This is going to be a 17-turn duel, if you can believe that or not. So, I'm going to start by activating the Foxy tune here. 8bots will respond with the Maxx, but thankfully I have the Ash Blossom, so I'm going to go ahead and just fire that off next here. Alright, we do get to add the Amin, but we actually don't really have an inherent play just yet. The Thrust is live. The Ash Blossom on the Amin actually doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, because we wouldn't have had it. We've already used Foxy Tune. We wouldn't have had a play anyway, but I'm going to use the Thrust to search the Imperm, and I'll just set Call by and Pass, and I'm just going to, like, kind of hope this is enough, I guess. So, 8bots actually has a really good opening hand here with Sigma and Diameter. Well, it's kind of it's good, but also kind of weird, right? Because, like, it's Sigma and Diameter, so we have to start by specialing the Sigma and then normaling Diameter. Looks like 8bots also has both the Call By and the Crossout, which is pretty interesting, too. We're going to Imperm on the Alimbertion here, but Crossout's going to go ahead and stop that. It's too bad. Imperm on the Alimp would have just not completely stopped the turn. Well, yeah, I mean, more or less completely stopped the turn. But despite that, 8bots is actually still in a kind of awkward spot because we've already used Sigma, right? I don't know why I called by Sigma there because we'd already used it, but they actually end up negating it with the Alimbertion here. Which, no, I definitely should have saved this call by. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was zero. Yeah, because I could have used it against the Splash Mage. Oh, you know what it was? I was chatting. I was talking to chat, and I totally forgot that. I didn't even realize, maybe even initially, that we had used Sigma from hand. So I thought Sigma was live in the yard, which is why I call it. Although you can also wait for Sigma to activate and then call by it. Yeah, there was no reason for me to call by there. That was a misplay for sure. But thankfully, 8bots is not able to actually get the OTK here because we're going for the Terahertz without anything else. And even if we had the multiplication in deck, we'd still have to hit a defense mode Amin, so that still wouldn't be lethal here. But I do have to play through a Call By and D-Save Worm in complete top deck mode. Now, I will end up top decking a Magnamhut that I'm not going to use just yet. I want to wait and see if I can snipe something in the yard, maybe. Alright, Equation is going to be activated targeting the Diameter. I will go ahead and snipe the Diameter with Magnamhut. Nice thing about Magnamhut, too, is that it'll get me another search, which means I'll have at least, ideally, one more turn here, so. Alright, Terahertz is activating, sending off the other Sigma in the yard. Battling over the Magnamhut. Magnamhut, during the end phase, will go ahead and grab the Druiswarm here. And I'm actually gonna put this in fast forward. Because this duel, I don't remember if I said specifically the turn count, but it's a 17 turn duel, so. Oh, here is the one time I've actually managed to activate Gamma. Well, one, not just during this playtest session, but honestly within the last, like, I legitimately could not tell you the last time I resolved a Gamma. But whatever, I already did my anti-Gamma rant. I don't like Gamma anymore. Gamma and PSY Framegear Gamma and I are no longer speaking. We are no longer friends. I'm going to summon both the Saronir and Druiswarm here, going into the Beatrice. Beatrice F will send off the Havnis. I'm going to try to activate Havnis, but 8bots does have that called by to stop me from fusing. So I'm just going to use Beatrice to battle over the Sigma, and I'll just go for a Zeus here. Although with that Nib in hand, it might have been a bit of a blessing in disguise that we weren't able to pop off, so. Alright, gonna top deck a Super Poly, so we'll just switch Zeus to attack mode and smack for 3k. Alright, there's a Circular from 8bots. Circular is activating to send Diameter here. And yeah, I didn't Zeus as soon as the Circular was summoned because I was like, I'll just wait for the next thing to get summoned instead, so. Alright, here we get to battle over Circular and then set Super Poly, which actually ended up being a good thing too because of that Kurikara in hand. Super Factorial, actually a phenomenal top deck there, by the way, because we do have that fully set up here. Yeah, as we move to battle phase, I'm thinking I'm probably just going to end up having to, yeah, use, well, I could have actually used Zeus's effect. Actually, hang on a second. I should have chained Zeus to the super effect. No, I can't, duh, because then, yeah. For some reason, I do this sometimes. For some reason, I thought that if I chained Zeus, it would resolve after the super factorial, but that's not how chain links work. So never mind, I had to do it here. But anyway, I'm gonna send the tier cache, try to mill something relevant. Unfortunately, I don't succeed. Thankfully, 8bots did not top deck anything relevant here. I was kind of surprised at this point. I was like, I feel like I could be dead at any second here. And then here we go. This Wraitsoth ends up being a phenomenal top deck. It allows me to get the Fenrir, Fenrir for another Fenrir, move to battle, banish the Lubellion, smack for 25. And yeah, it looks like A-Boss was just not able... Well, they top decked Maxx, which is getting set here. I remember top decking this Assault Synchron and thinking to myself, like, I could just try battling with the Assault Synchron, but I wanted to do something safer here. But if I make Dark and bring back Terahertz, now I can just have Terahertz battle into the defense mode monster, and then Dark can guaranteed swing in for lethal. So I could have just summoned Assault Synchron and done it with my own Fenrir, but this was the safer way, I think, ultimately, to do it. So yeah, that was a wild back and forth. A 17-turn duel between a Grass Pile and Math deck is not something I would have expected to have happened, but it did, which is one of many reasons why I love dueling with you all in viewer duels so much. So again, if you're interested in joining the fun, definitely make sure to give me a follow or subscribe over on Twitch, so that way you're notified of when we go live with those. But thanks to everyone who showed up for the stream and who helped contribute to these awesome games. Let's go ahead now and see our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.